nice and tight. Hey everyone. Now, I know some people have been wondering how the progress of the Thunderbolt 1000X has been going. And I've teased a little bit through my YouTube shorts, which is something I'm kind of trying out. I haven't really done a whole lot of those before in the past. But I thought it'd be kind of a good idea to kind of get some kind of content out, so people can kind of see that I am actually doing stuff. But I know that people had some questions about the Thunderbolt 1000X and what's changed, what's been added to it, some of the features that it has now versus what it did before, and just general kind of fit and finish of what it's going to kind of end up looking like. And that is the subject of today's video. Come here, lady.
We give you information that will permit your return. If you do not have a place prepared for yourself, drive at least 50 miles from the target area. Civil Defense will instruct you there. Cooperate with civil defense workers and they will help you. Do not listen to rumors, and above all, keep calm.
So, I guess we'll go over some of the basics first. Of course, many people saw that this siren actually does have an RCM now, and an actual AR timer. So I just showed off the AR timer specifically, but didn't actually get a chance to show off the RCM. So I figured I would take in this time now to kind of go ahead and actually show that. But that's the RCM cabinet. It's a little different from the real RCM cabinet that came with these sirens. Basically because there's a lot of components I don't actually need in this versus the real one, which is why it's so much smaller. It has an actual working latch, so it's not actually gonna... Cat's wondering what's going on. But it's not gonna fall open on you. You actually do have to unlatch it, and that allows you to get access to the inside of the cabinet. So it has your standard controls, stuff that you would normally see on a real Siren RCM. Hello. The only thing being that this is actually on the opposite side. It could have been on that side, but I just moved it over here just to make things a little bit easier with the latching and everything. But that's what that pretty much does. So it allows you to test functions independently, obviously, much like a real RCM. Then the AR timer, of course, sits right here in this space right here. I just don't have it in there right now because I don't have this currently wired to anything. But that's essentially all that this is really doing, but I thought people would kind of want to see that. People might be wondering kind of why is there this gray stripe going through part of the door when everything else is all yellow, and there's actually a reason behind that. So the lights on the AR timer itself are a little glaring when they're actually in something, and since the filament that I've used for this cabinet is somewhat translucent, it allows the lights from the timer to actually shine through it, which is kind of annoying, especially if you intend on having this timer mounted indoors. It just makes it look a little undesirable. So that's why there's actually a gray layer, which is in between that. So this is kind of what I mean. Like if I turn this light on, you can very clearly see that through the cabinet, which is not really that desirable. But especially where the light is going to be coming from, if I shine through right here, you can see everything there. A little bit gets through, but nowhere near as much as that. So with the controls done, I figure we can go on to the newer updated head. So there's a couple of things that are slightly different than that of the version that you saw previously, the first kind of prototype version. I've gotten away from those little Phillips screws that are usually on the chopper, the stator cap. So I went ahead and used M3 screws instead. And the actual back coupler that basically holds the stator cap on does have threaded brass inserts, so you're not really screwing into plastic, you're actually screwing into something metal, so it really should hopefully level up its durability quite a bit. And the same thing actually goes for the cabinet itself, or the rotator. So there's actually a threaded insert for here, there's 4 screws on either corner, so that allows you to basically, with being gentle, actually take this and take the Siren and open it up, allowing you to get access to the rotator bowl gear as well as the pinion for when it's time to service the Siren. But I'll make a companion video that basically goes over some of the maintenance, but that'll basically allows you to get access to the inside of the gears so you can actually grease them and make sure that they're not wearing. And it also, just in case you ever need to get in there, you just easily can. There's actually a little tiny drain hole, which is right there, because, so if it ever does rain, water would inevitably end up leaking into the cabinet itself and would have no way of getting out, and then basically all the water ends up sitting in the rotator cabinet. So that's why there's that hole there. So that means every time the blower fires up, it actually puts positive pressure into the cabinet and then blows the water out the bottom of it, if there ever is any water that collects. And additionally, if you do want to make the siren a bit taller, I'm going to get in depth about that. The air pipe that the actual head sits on, if you do choose to extend it relatively high and have the blower on the ground and then the siren head up tall, you want some way to support the air pipe, considering wind will very easily knock over a plastic siren like this. So I went ahead and included a cheese piece. I really don't have a good way of describing this other than the cheese piece, because it looks like a piece of cheese. It's a guy wire plate. So this essentially mounts in between the bottom of the rotator cabinet and the air pipe itself, basically just like that. And basically it just gives you tie-off points that you can actually like tie off like either cord or something like that, so that when it's up on the pole you can have the air pipe supported. Moving on, you might have noticed in the very first videos I had done on the Thunderbolt that this is actually using a standard 3/4 inch PVC pipe as the blower pipe, and there's a very good reason why I did that. One, because it's a pretty standard size, so it's easy to get parts and components for it. If you do have to kind of route the piping kind of weird, basically make the siren as tall as you want. So if you wanted to have the blower on the ground and then have the siren, say, run up the side of your house, you could do that quite feasibly. So that's kind of the idea with that. So that means that the siren head does have to be able to be removed. Siren head? Siren head confirmed? Connor's making a siren head? No, I'm not.
Deadening.
Anyway, the siren's head itself will also have a standardized plug, so you can quite easily extend it without having to unsolder anything. And that's the kind of plug it'll use. That is a standard servo plug. There will be the male end coming up the air pipe itself, and then there'll be a female end on the head of the siren that you basically just pop off the siren head off the pipe, go inside, and then just basically just disconnect the plug, and you can unplug the siren, which makes kind of changing it and working on it just significantly easier. But enough of that, let's go ahead and jump outside for some outsidey time and actually get some testing of the kind of some of the things with the blower and a bit of the timer, so you can kind of see what's going on with it. So if you're familiar with a real AR timer, you'll be familiar with this. It operates exactly the same, with maybe a couple more features that are in it that are basically just in regards to how this siren itself operates, that do kind of assist in diagnosing what it's doing and a bit of creature comfort. But I'll go ahead and walk through some of the controls on it and let you know what it does. So keep in mind that the timer itself is solid state, so there aren't actually any electromechanical controls in it like you'd see in that of a traditional AR timer, because it's just far simpler to do. We'll begin where you'd normally expect to begin, and that is the test button. The siren will wind up and will operate as long as the test button is held, and I'll go ahead and show you that now. Now, of course, the blower is off right now, so it's not super loud. This light tells you three things about the siren, and actually about the timer itself. The first one being that if you can kind of see it, you probably really can't because the refresh rate of the camera is kind of stupid, but you can kind of see that light just barely flickering, but it's really flashing gradually in and out, and that's basically telling you that the timer circuit itself is active and is just in standby mode. And additionally, that slow fade out that you saw it do once I wound it up a little bit essentially is telling you what the rotor is doing inside the chopper itself. So you can see that it slowly fades out, and basically figure if the light is on and slowly kind of dimming down, that is a good indication of the rotor itself also slowing down. This right here, of course, is your alert button. This runs the siren in a continuous 3-minute alert cycle, where it doesn't change its pitch or anything like that. It just winds up, and then after 3 minutes is completed, it goes ahead and shuts off. This over here is your attack cycle, so it behaves much in the same way of a real AR timer, where you have a 3-minute up and down signal where the siren wavers in pitch, and that runs for its continuous 3 minutes. And this, of course, is your cancel button. This goes ahead and cancels any of the active cycles. And additionally, much like the real AR timer, this timer has attack priority. If you're unfamiliar with it, or if you're just not aware with the AR timers, these timers have what's called an attack priority, meaning that if the alert button is pressed and the siren is currently running through an alert cycle and you need to switch it over to attack, this siren timer will always default to attack if you go ahead and click this. So it will cancel any of the previous cycles that's on it, which there really only is one other cycle, and will immediately go into attack. So I'll go ahead and run it up into an alert cycle and let you see that it does actually switch over. Give it a second. And there you go. So now it's gone into an attack cycle. I'll go ahead and cancel that. And there you go. And that's basically the gist of how the timer operates. But moving on, since the siren did come in with different blower models, and some of which not being very great, I thought that'd be kind of cool for people to be also able to change that as well, if they were deciding to buy the siren with a roots blower in it. This is set to its highest speed, which allows this thing to move the most amount of air, as well as make the most amount of noise. And go ahead and fire that up so you can hear what the blower sounds like by itself. And then all you have to do is move the belt over. For those who are wondering why that belt may look a little familiar, this belt is a hair tie. That's all it is. That's all that it is that's transferring the power over. But here is the medium speed. That's a good intermediate sound volume from the siren itself. I'd say that's probably good for having it be a little bit louder than Speed 1, which I'm going to show you now. In Speed 1, I recommend probably for models that are going to be placed indoors, where you kind of want it to make the noise, but also don't need it to be super, super loud, because it can become kind of obnoxious, and that is the lowest speed here. And now I'll actually go ahead and let you hear what each of the blower positions sound like from the siren itself. So here is Speed 1. Now for Speed 2, the medium speed. And now for Speed 3, or the highest sound output and the largest amount of airflow. So, I hope that kind of answered some people's questions. If you guys have any more questions, I recommend you go ahead and post those in the comments down below. Try to keep it specific to the Thunderbolt at least, just because that's kind of what I'm trying to gauge here. Is kind of what people are thinking about it. But yeah, I guess this is the part of the video that I inevitably have to get to, and I'm not super excited about it because I don't really like to feel like I'm groveling. But the price. So this siren takes a lot of components to get operating. Like there's a lot of motors, there's a lot of controls and specific like little push buttons and all that kind of stuff, as well as delay timers and power supplies. But that's just some of the things I have to kind of take into consideration, let alone the time itself it takes in assembly. Because the timer itself has a lot of solder connections that I have to do in order to get it to all. But if you want a bit of a price breakdown, it's going to cost about $300. I know that may be an ouch for some people, and believe me, I'm trying to keep it as cheap as possible. But that's kind of what I'm thinking about for price. That may be negotiable, and it may raise, it may decrease, depending on kind of what you want me to do with the Siren. Like I'd imagine custom colors would be a bit more of a pain in the ass because they just take longer to print, and I have to sit there and babysit it as it's printing and basically changing filaments per layer. And I appreciate everyone's support, and I might even make some simpler sirens, some simpler versions of the Thunderbolt for those who want it, that may be a little bit cheaper, that say won't include an AR timer or won't include the RCM, and I'm designing it intentionally for that to be something you could probably get extra or like buy later. Either way, I hope everyone enjoyed the video, kind of got some insight as to some of the things that have changed with the Thunderbolt. I'm super excited to release it. It's been a lot of work, but it's probably going to be one of my best models in terms of functionality and basically doing everything that you really want it to do. So with that, I would love to see your guys' feedback. If you like what you see, go ahead and drop a like or subscribe. You guys really don't have to do that kind of stuff, but it really shows me your support, and it shows me that I'm doing something right. Additionally, the 2K subscriber Siren giveaway is still ongoing, so if you'd like to be entered into that giveaway, go ahead and drop a comment down below, and one of you guys will be chosen randomly out of my subscriber pool. And if you get chosen, I will actually send you a notification, or I will send you a comment basically telling you that you won. So that's gonna be it for me today, guys. I gotta get to working out some of the bugs with this. So I'll see y'all later.